2. And the incredible Super-Galactic Jawbreaker. Let's go! Double Trouble. When Stink got to Class 2D, his teacher was wearing a fuzzy, think pink bathrobe. She also had bunny slippers and a pillow and a real live dog that had bad breath named Pickles. Here's my fuzzy pink bathrobe. I think I'll wear it since we're going to read this, because I have it here and I like to wear it and it's nice and soft. Maybe I could look like Mrs. Dempster while I'm reading. There, fuzzy bathrobe. Stink forgot about the sunny side down eggs. He forgot about the giant lint balls. What in the world could be better than wearing not itchy glow-in-the-dark pajamas to school and reading all day? Stink plopped on his sleeping bag next to his super best friend Webster. Are those your pajamas? He asked. Well, they're not my soccer uniform, said Webster, but how would you know? I got them for my birthday. Webster was being a grump. Stink didn't know why. He hunkered down inside his sleeping bag and stuck his nose in a pop-up book of animal skeletons. He propped his head up on his fang, his 6-foot-long stuffed animal snake, and he popped a free fireball in his mouth. Want one? He asked Webster. You're not allowed to eat candy in school, said Webster. He turned the other way and stuck his nose in a book. This must be Webster, because there's Stink with Fang, his snake. And there's the teacher in her big pink bathrobe. Stink! Webster, did you hear? Asked Sophie of the elves. We're having a pajama parade, and we get to walk through all the halls, and we get to go to special assembly in the library where Mrs. Mack will tell stories from around the world, and she wears hats and plays drums. I get to sit by you guys. Who cares, said Webster. What's wrong with him? Stink asked Sophie. Sophie just shrugged. Wow, pajama parade, assembly. Assemblies in the library were the best. Stink could not wait to hear stories from around the world with hats and drums. Mrs. D's second grade class paraded past the office and then down the 5th grade hall. In the library, Stink sat beside Sophie of the elves, and Webster was right behind Stink. Mrs. D pointed for Webster to sit down in the space right next to Stink. I'm not sitting by him, said Webster. Let's not make a mountain out of a molehill, said Mrs. D. Webster sat down. Mrs. Mack, the librarian, held up 2 fingers. Let's show what good listeners we are at the Virginia Dare School, said Mrs. Mack. And remember, said Mrs. D, let's keep our hands to ourselves. Stink couldn't stand being ignored, especially by his best friend. As soon as Mrs. Mack started to tell a story, Stink tapped Webster on the shoulder when he wasn't looking, just for fun. Hey, said Webster. Stink pretended to be listening to the story. Webster tapped Stink on the shoulder and then pretended his hands were in his lap. Stink tapped him back. Webster tapped him back harder. Ow, said Stink. Stink, whispered Mrs. D. She pointed to Stink and Webster to settle down and keep quiet. You guys are in trouble, whispered Sophie of the elves. Now, said Mrs. Mack, we're going to turn down the lights and travel to the deepest Africa. I hope you like scary stories. The lights went out. Stink glowed like a nightlight. Mrs. D would sure see him now if he tapped Webster again. Stink pulled both of his arms all the way inside his pajamas just to be safe. He did not want his tapping fingers to get him into any more trouble. Drum beats fill the air. Mrs. Mac made her voice low and whispery. The folk tale was all about the bad one. This spooky voice coming from inside the cave. The voice sounded so big and bad. It was scaring the pants off all the other animals in the rainforest. At the end, the bad one turned out to be nothing but a centipede. Whew. A South African red-legged centipede. Stink knew all about centipedes. Once in the Toad Pea Club with my sister, he told Webster, we tried to set a record for the longest human centipede. So, said Webster. Stink forgot about paying attention. Something was wrong with Webster. He tried to make a centipede joke to tell Webster. What goes 99 clunk? Stink asked Webster. Or 93 clunk? Or 67 clunk? Webster ignored him. A centipede with a broken leg. Stink cracked up. He flashed his fireball red tongue at Webster. Webster did not even crack a smile. Mrs. Mac was asking, how many legs does a centipede have? Stink knew the answer. He went to raise his hand, but his arms were still inside his pajama shirt. 100, said a first grader in the front row. Stink knew 100 was not the whole answer. He just had to raise his hand. He tried to raise an elbow from inside his shirt. Something was wrong, very, very wrong. Something had happened to Stink's pajama top. It shrunk. Stink wiggled and tried to worm his way out of his shirt. Help! Where were the armholes? It was still dark. He couldn't see a thing. His shirt was all twisted and his arms were all caught. His elbows poked inside his shirt like a punching bag, but he couldn't find his way out. Help! Stink was stuck inside his pajama top. The name centipede means 100 feet. That's why we all think centipedes have 100 legs, said Mrs. Mac. Still, Stink was wrestling with his pajamas. The top went up and over his head. Stink lost his head. He wrestled some more. Finally, he poked his arm out. Ow! He heard Webster cry. Hey, you sucker punched me. He shoved Stink into Sophie of the Elves. Hey, Stink. I was only boys, said Miss D. Come with me. First the shirt, then hitting Webster. Double trouble. All the lights were on now. The room was suddenly somebody got in trouble quiet. Webster had his head down and looked like he was going to cry. Everyone stared at the boys as they followed Mrs. Dempster out into the hallway. Okay, you two. What's this fighting about? I thought you two were best friends. Well, Stink started it, said Webster. I was just sitting there and he punched me for no reason. Well, I didn't mean to hit him, honest, said Stink. It's all my pajamas' fault. I got stuck inside my shirt. Crossed my heart, no lie. I was trying to raise my hand and say that most centipedes had 15 pairs of legs, but somehow I have up to 177 pairs, and if a leg gets cut off, it grows back, and some centipedes even glow in the dark. So it was an accident. Asked Mrs. Dempster. Yes, said Stink. Can you say you're sorry, Stink? Sorry, Webster, said Stink. I didn't mean to hit you. Webster, said Mrs. Dempster, are you okay now? Do you need to go see the nurse? Whatever, said Webster. Boy, Stink said, I never knew pajamas could get a person in so much trouble. But Webster was already walking down the hall toward the nurse's office. His back was mad. Even his hair was mad. Making a mountain out of a molehill. Hey, Mr. Mole, Dad's gonna be mad. You made our lawn look like the surface of a moon. It's no big deal, just a few bumps. The next day, I'll show how Stink what a big deal is. A molehill, yikes! And I thought I was making a mountain out of a molehill. I want to go mountain climbing with me. Thanks for reading. Feel Like a Heel is the next chapter in this book. But before we go there, let's take a look at how many chapters are left. Feel Like a Heel, then a leopard can change his spots is the very last chapter. And there's a very special something coming up I want you to see after the very last chapter. Okay, so join me next time with Feel Like a Heel. But first, let's just eat the first 5 M&Ms that come out of my cup. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, the orange one's sneaked out. Look, 2 browns, 3 reds, and I'm going to eat them up, gobble them up all at one time, because I think they probably are going to taste exactly the same. Here we go. I taste 3 reds, 2 browns, and they taste like chocolate. Chocolate M&Ms. Okay. See you for the next chapter.